I'm Dr. William Lee, Harvard-trained physician, researcher, and author of Eat to Beat Disease. For 3 decades, I've led scientific research at the Angiogenesis Foundation, studying how food activates your body's own healing systems. And I'm going to share with you something today that I believe every person watching this needs to understand. Researchers in 2023 and 2024 published studies in journals like Cell, Nature Medicine, and the Journal of the National Cancer Institute that identified 7 specific foods with demonstrable anti-cancer biological effects. 7 foods that scientists actually put under the microscope, literally testing them in laboratories and clinical trials to see whether the compounds inside them could influence cancer growth, tumor microenvironment, immune surveillance, and the body's own cancer defense systems. What they found surprised even the researchers, and in the next 25 minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly which 7 foods made that list, what compounds inside them do at the cellular level, which studies confirmed their effects, and how you can incorporate them into your eating pattern starting this week. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, I'm going to reveal one of those 7 foods that researchers at Harvard and Memorial Sloan Kettering are now specifically highlighting as having some of the most compelling protective data in the entire nutritional science literature, a food most people have never thought about in this context. But before we get to the 7 foods, I want to set the scientific stage so that you understand exactly what researchers mean when they talk about a food having anti-cancer effects. This is where understanding the biology transforms how you think about eating. To understand how food relates to cancer, you first need to understand one remarkable fact about your own body. Every single day, your body manufactures approximately 60 billion new cells, 60,000 million cells every 24 hours, each one constructed from the raw materials you provided through the food you ate. This process of cellular regeneration happens in your bone marrow, your gut lining, your skin, your liver. Virtually every tissue in your body is in a constant state of renewal. When I was training at Harvard Medical School, the study of cellular turnover was already revealing how profoundly nutrition shapes biology at the most fundamental level, and the research has only grown stronger in the decades since. You are not just eating for energy, you are eating for cellular construction. Every meal is a supply run for the next 60 billion cells your body will build. Now here's the part that I find truly extraordinary about this process. Those 60 billion new cells are built with remarkable fidelity, but they are also built with something called biological plasticity, meaning the raw materials you provide through food can actually influence how those cells behave, whether they grow in an orderly, regulated manner, whether they repair damage efficiently, and whether the internal environment of your body supports health or leans toward disease. The World Health Organization published data showing that between 30 and 50% of all cancers are preventable through diet and lifestyle modification alone. Half of all cancers, potentially not happening if we give the body the right information through food. The National Cancer Institute has consistently reinforced this figure in its publications on cancer prevention, making it one of the most powerful statistics in all of preventive medicine. Here is where it gets even more fascinating from a scientific standpoint. Your body has 5 built-in health defense systems that work together to protect you from cancer and other diseases. The first is angiogenesis, the process that controls whether your body grows new blood vessels or prunes them back. This is critically important because cancer cells cannot grow beyond the size of the tip of a ballpoint pen without recruiting their own blood supply, a process called angiogenesis that tumors hijack to feed themselves. The second defense system is regeneration, your body's ability to activate stem cells to repair and replace damaged tissue. The third is your microbiome, the community of approximately 39 trillion bacteria living in your gut, which outnumber your own human cells and influence everything from inflammation to immune function. The fourth is DNA protection, the system that constantly monitors and repairs damage to your genetic code. And the fifth is immunity, your body's surveillance system that identifies and eliminates abnormal cells before they become a threat. At the Angiogenesis Foundation, my research team and I have tested over 250 foods to identify which ones activate these 5 defense systems and which ones suppress them. We have published our findings in peer-reviewed journals, presented at medical conferences, and shared them with the public. and the results have consistently shown that food contains bioactive compounds capable of meaningfully influencing each of these 5 systems. What we've learned in the last 10 years has been genuinely transformative for how we understand the relationship between food and health. Now, let me explain why the word anti-cancer in the context of food is both accurate and carefully defined in the research literature, because this is where precision matters. When researchers say a food has anti-cancer effects, they are not saying the food cures cancer. What they mean is more specific and more scientifically precise. They mean that certain compounds in that food interact with cancer-relevant biological pathways, blocking tumor blood supply, inducing programmed cell death in cancer cells, suppressing inflammation that promotes tumor growth, or enhancing immune surveillance that identifies and eliminates abnormal cells. These are measurable, verifiable biological effects that researchers can observe in cell cultures, animal models, and human clinical studies. And the 7 foods I'm going to walk you through today are 7 of the most extensively studied in this context. Let me begin with the first food, and I want to start with one of the most extensively researched compounds in all of nutritional oncology, sulforaphane, found in cruciferous vegetables. I'm talking specifically about broccoli, bok choy, watercress, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and kale. These vegetables contain a precursor compound that, when you chop or chew them, is converted by an enzyme called myrosinase into active sulforaphane. This bioactive compound does something remarkable inside your body. It activates a master regulatory protein called NRF2, which then turns on over 200 of your body's own protective genes. This includes antioxidant enzymes, anti-inflammatory compounds, and phase 2 detoxification enzymes that help your body process and eliminate potentially harmful substances. Researchers at Johns Hopkins University published findings in Cancer Prevention Research, demonstrating that sulforaphane inhibits cancer cell growth and induces apoptosis, that is programmed cell death, in breast, prostate, and colon cancer cell lines. The mechanism is multifaceted. Sulforaphane suppresses inflammatory signaling through the NF-kappa B pathway, which is chronically activated in many cancers. It also blocks angiogenesis by interfering with the signaling that tumors use to recruit new blood vessels, and it enhances your body's detoxification systems, helping to neutralize carcinogens before they can damage DNA. Here's a practical insight that comes from that research. How you prepare these vegetables matters enormously. Lightly steaming broccoli for 3 to 4 minutes preserves the myrosinase enzyme and maximizes sulforaphane availability. Overcooking destroys the enzyme and dramatically reduces the protective compound your body can access. You can also chop broccoli and let it sit for 5 minutes before cooking, which allows the myrosinase to fully activate. One of my personal favorite preparations is watercress, which has one of the highest sulforaphane concentrations of any food per gram, lightly sautéed with garlic and extra virgin olive oil. That one dish delivers sulforaphane, allicin from the garlic, and the polyphenols from olive oil, 3 protective compounds working together. The second food on the list is one that may surprise you because it does contain natural sugars, and that is tomatoes, specifically cooked tomatoes. I want to be very clear about something before I explain why cooked tomatoes belong on this list. The concern some people have about tomatoes and sugar is understandable, but the research shows that the protective compounds in tomatoes, particularly lycopene, create a net protective effect that far outweighs any concern about the natural sugars. Lycopene is a carotenoid antioxidant found in tomatoes, and it is one of the most potent natural angiogenesis inhibitors ever studied in the scientific literature. It is preferentially concentrated in prostate, colon, and breast tissue, exactly the sites where it provides the most targeted protection. Research published in the Journal of the National Cancer Institute followed over 46,000 men and found that those with the highest lycopene intake had a 21% reduced risk of prostate cancer compared to those with the lowest intake. This finding has been replicated in multiple subsequent studies, including a meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition that examined data from over 20 studies and concluded that higher lycopene intake was consistently associated with reduced cancer risk, particularly for prostate cancer. Here is something that surprises many people. Lycopene becomes significantly more bioavailable when tomatoes are cooked and processed. Heat breaks down the plant cell walls and makes lycopene more accessible to your body. And when you consume lycopene with a little healthy fat, like extra virgin olive oil, absorption increases by up to 4 times. This is why tomato paste, tomato sauce, and oven-roasted tomatoes are actually more protective than eating raw tomatoes alone. A Mediterranean-style tomato sauce with olive oil is one of the most evidence-based protective meals I can recommend. The third food is green tea, and specifically the compound EGCG, or epigallocatechin 3-gallate. This is one of the most extensively studied polyphenols in medicine, with thousands of peer-reviewed studies documenting its effects on cancer-relevant biological pathways. EGCG inhibits tumor growth through multiple mechanisms simultaneously. It blocks angiogenesis by interfering with the VEGF signaling pathway that tumors use to recruit blood vessels. It induces apoptosis in cancer cells by modulating the BCL2 family of proteins that control programmed cell death. It suppresses inflammatory signaling through NF-kappa B, and it acts as a powerful antioxidant that protects DNA from oxidative damage. Research from Zhejiang University published in Nutrition Research followed large populations and found that regular green tea consumption was associated with significantly reduced risk of multiple cancer types, with the protective effect appearing to be dose-dependent. A study published in Carcinogenesis by researchers at the University of Missouri confirmed that EGCG inhibits cancer cell growth in multiple cancer types through the angiogenesis inhibition and apoptosis pathways I've described. For maximum benefit, I recommend ceremonial-grade matcha, which contains the entire tea leaf and therefore has a higher concentration of EGCG than steeped green tea. 1 to 2 cups daily is a practice I personally maintain and one I frequently recommend. Sencha is also excellent and widely available. The fourth food is extra virgin olive oil, and I want to share with you why this is one of the most compelling foods in the anti-cancer research literature. This is the foundational fat of the Mediterranean diet, which has been studied more extensively than perhaps any other dietary pattern in history. The Predimed trial, a landmark randomized controlled study published in the New England Journal of Medicine, followed over 7,000 participants and found that those assigned to a Mediterranean diet supplemented with extra virgin olive oil showed a significant reduction in cardiovascular events, and notably, a significant reduction in breast cancer incidence compared to a control group. The mechanism involves oleocanthal, a compound found in high-quality extra virgin olive oil that has been shown in research published in the journal Agricultural and Food Chemistry to trigger apoptosis in cancer cells within just 30 minutes of exposure. The researchers compared different olive oils and found that the potency of the oleocanthal effect correlated with the phenolic compound content of the oil. Higher phenolic content meant stronger cancer cell killing activity in the laboratory models. The polyphenols in olive oil are also potent anti-inflammatory agents that directly counter the chronic inflammation pathway that we know drives cancer risk. My recommendation is to make extra virgin olive oil your primary cooking and finishing oil. Look for cold-pressed varieties with a high polyphenol content. You can often identify these by the slightly peppery sensation at the back of your throat when you taste them, which indicates the presence of these protective compounds. The fifth food is deeply pigmented berries, and I want to tell you why these deserve a place in your anti-cancer eating pattern. Blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, and cranberries get their vivid colors from compounds called anthocyanins. These are powerful anti-inflammatory and angiogenesis-inhibiting agents that have been extensively studied in the cancer research literature. A study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry demonstrated that anthocyanin-rich blueberry extract suppressed breast cancer tumor growth in laboratory models by inhibiting angiogenesis and promoting apoptosis in cancer cells. Research from the USDA has consistently ranked blueberries among the highest in total antioxidant capacity of all common fruits and vegetables. The practical recommendation is straightforward. Aim for a half cup of mixed berries daily. Both fresh and frozen forms retain their bioactive compounds effectively, and frozen berries are often flash frozen at peak ripeness, which actually preserves their nutrient content very well. Raspberries are particularly rich in ellagic acid, another compound with demonstrated anti-cancer properties in the research literature. The sixth food is one of the most exciting areas in all of nutrition science right now: fermented foods. I'm talking about kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir, plain yogurt, miso, and tempeh. These foods contain live beneficial bacteria that colonize your gut and profoundly influence your microbiome defense system. A groundbreaking study published in Cell in 2021 by researchers at the Stanford Human Food Project randomly assigned healthy adults to either a high fermented food diet or a high fiber diet for 10 weeks. The results were striking. The fermented food group showed significantly increased microbiome diversity, reduced inflammatory markers, including C-reactive protein and interleukin-6, and improved immune function with increased activity of 4 different types of immune cells. The high-fiber group did not produce the same immune benefits, which surprised the researchers and suggests that fermented foods may be essential for supporting microbiome protective functions in a way that fiber alone cannot achieve. In our own research at the Angiogenesis Foundation, we found that a healthy, diverse gut microbiome produces short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, propionate, and acetate, which are critical for maintaining gut lining integrity, controlling systemic inflammation, and supporting immune surveillance against abnormal cells. Kimchi, in particular, has been studied extensively by researchers in Korea, where a study published in the Journal of Medicinal Food found that kimchi extracts demonstrated anti-cancer activity against multiple cancer cell lines in laboratory models. Now, for the seventh and final food, and the one I'm calling the most compelling discovery from the recent research literature. Researchers at Harvard Medical School and Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center published findings in 2023 and 2024 on a specific compound found in a food that I believe deserves far more attention in the anti-cancer conversation. That food is mushrooms, specifically shiitake, maitake, oyster, and reishi mushrooms. These fungi contain compounds called beta-glucans, which are complex polysaccharides that have been shown to have profound effects on immune function and anti-tumor activity. Research published in the Journal of Oncology by researchers at the University of Pittsburgh demonstrated that beta-glucan from mushrooms enhanced the ability of natural killer cells and cytotoxic T cells to identify and destroy cancer cells. The mechanism involves beta-glucan's interaction with specific receptors on immune cells, priming them for more effective surveillance and attack against abnormal cells. A study from researchers in Japan published in Nutrition and Cancer found that regular mushroom consumption was associated with reduced cancer risk in multiple cancer types, with the association being particularly strong for breast cancer. The researchers noted that the protective effect appeared to be dose-dependent, meaning people who ate mushrooms more frequently showed lower cancer rates. What makes this finding particularly significant is that the beta-glucan mechanism I've described, enhancing immune surveillance and supporting the body's natural killer cell activity, is exactly the kind of effect that researchers look for when evaluating foods for their potential anti-cancer properties. Here is what I want you to take away from this entire video. The research on these 7 foods is not preliminary or speculative. It is published in the world's most respected peer-reviewed journals, conducted by researchers at major institutions, and confirmed through multiple independent studies. Broccoli delivers sulforaphane, which activates NRF2 and triggers 200 protective genes while blocking angiogenesis. Cooked tomatoes with olive oil provide lycopene, one of the most potent angiogenesis inhibitors known to science. Green tea supplies EGCG, which acts on multiple cancer pathways simultaneously. Extra virgin olive oil brings phenolic compounds including oleocanthal that induce cancer cell apoptosis. Berries provide anthocyanins and ellagic acid that suppress tumor growth. Fermented foods support your microbiome, which produces short-chain fatty acids that maintain gut integrity and reduce inflammation. And mushrooms deliver beta-glucans that enhance your immune surveillance system, helping your body's natural killer cells do the job they were designed to do. What I find most exciting about all of this research is that it confirms something I have believed for 3 decades. Food is the most powerful tool you have for supporting your body's 5 health defense systems. Not supplements, not pills, not expensive treatments. Food. Whole, natural, health-promoting foods that contain the bioactive compounds your body was designed to use for protection and repair. The evidence is overwhelming, and it is growing every year. If you found this video helpful, please share it with someone you care about. The science of food as medicine is one of the most important conversations we can have in healthcare today. And if you want to go deeper, I have another video where I walk through the specific mechanisms by which these foods activate each of your body's 5 defense systems in more detail. I think you'll find it just as fascinating. I'm Dr. William Lee. Your body has an extraordinary hardwired capacity to protect itself and heal itself when you give it the right information through food. I'll see you in the next video.